For Key's closing remarks, here's again the Executive Secretary of the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights, Santiago Cantón.
Thank you very much, Nicole. The first time I spoke with Gerardo was the second week of November 1989. I called to invite him on behalf of NDI to participate in a delegation to observe the elections in Chile that will end the Pinochet dictatorship. I remember the exact days because it was during the last offensiva of the FMLN, the last military offensive of the MLN in November 1989. The offensive took place right where Gerardo was living with his family. So the government and the FMLN had accepted a truce for a few hours so people can leave their houses. That was the reason I was able to find Gerardo at his house. He went back to his house to take the family out to live somewhere else. He quickly accepted the invitation to come with us to Chile, and with the sense of humor that characterized Gerardo all his life, he apologized for not being able to continue the conversation, but he had to take his family to a safer place, and the truce was about to end. So he hung up on me immediately when we were talking. We met in Santiago de Chile during the week before the elections. I remember we were walking in the streets of Santiago when we saw a large group of students confronting the Chilean military. And of course, rather than running toward the hotel, as most people will, he ran to confront the military. Suddenly, we were in between the military and the students. Water cannon trucks and tear gas bombs were all over. A tear gas bomb dropped right next to us. He had more experience on those situations, so I followed his advice. He said, in Spanish, respira profundo y rápido antes que salga el gas. Breathe deep and quick before the gas comes out. Maybe we were too slow. But both of us inhaled so much gas that day that for the next hours we would be sitting in the lobby of the hotel trying to cope with the pain of our eyes, mouth and throat, and the first advice he gave me back then was to use lemon to take away the pain of the gas. From those days on, we kept in frequent contact and we developed a very close friendship, the same, I'm sure, many of you had with him as well. Gerardo enjoyed life as few people do. He would make friends everywhere. He has friends all over the world, as the recent outpour of support on Facebook shows. Whenever I meet a political or social leader from a country Gerardo lived, I ask about Gerardo. Not only do they all know him, but they always have wonderful things to say about him. He did not only enjoy life, but he honored it. Life for Gerardo was not just about having a good time. Life was about helping others. Everything he did was with that goal in mind. From his early years in El Salvador, working toward reaching the peace agreements that put an end to one of Latin America's bloodiest wars, until his last days in Haiti, he had always worked for peace and democracy. Of course, we all know his sense of humor. Either in person or these days digitally, he would make sure that we all laugh as much and as often as possible. But again, laughter was not only just to have a good time. Laughter was also a way to confront the most difficult situations. I'm not going to, the same as the Secretary General, I will not go into the anecdote about Dobison, but as a matter of fact, what he did in that situation, he confronted one of the most dangerous people in El Salvador at that time, the founder of the death squads in El Salvador that killed and tortured thousands of people. He confronted Dobison with laugh, right in front of millions of TV viewers. That's exactly what Gerardo was all about. There is another story about Gerardo that is more personal that I would like to share with you. When he was living in Washington, I invited him to spend Christmas with my family and a group of friends at my house. He accepted without knowing that we would ask him to dress as Santa, and at midnight came into the house with a bag full of gifts to more than 30 people. He accepted, and he was a great Santa. For the first time, all the kids had a Santa that would speak to them in English, French, and Spanish. And the Spanish accent was not the typical Argentine accent that they were very used to. So for the first time, they all thought that Santa actually did exist. Afterwards, I thanked him for being Santa, and he told me that he wanted to thank me because that night was one of the best gifts he ever had, that he will never forget the eyes of the kids looking at him with innocence, hope, and admiration. We also know that his true love was his family, and particularly his daughters Giselle, Nicole, and his son Raúl, and lately his granddaughter. He was thinking about them all the time. They would come up in every conversation and in his emails. He would travel all over the world, but he would always stop to visit them wherever they were living. The last communication I had with Gerardo was a very short but emotional, in which he told me that he had become a grandfather. He was very proud and extremely happy. Again, I know it's a sad day, but we should remember that Gerardo was a great person that lived a wonderful life and left us a legacy of peace, happiness, and help for others that Giselle, Nicole, Raúl, all his family, and all his friends will only continue to grow. He might not be here, but he's not gone. At least for me, and probably to all of you, he's going to be back in every laugh we hear. Many years ago, I read a novel by Raphael Sabatini about a French gentleman in 17th century France that was a free spirit, enjoyed life, and fought for a good cause. Most of you probably read it, saw the movie, or know about it, Scaramouche. Back then, the first sentence of the novel made a strong impression in me, but with the passing of time, I had forgotten it. As soon as I learned about Gerardo's fate, it came back to my mind, as if they were waiting for the right opportunity to come back. The first line of the novel reads, "He was born with a gift of laughter and a sense that the world was mad." And that was all his patrimony. It sounds for me better in Spanish. Nació con el don de la alegría, sabiendo que el mundo estaba loco. Thank you, Gerardo, for all those wonderful years. Your memory is a wonderful gift that I know will help your family and all of us move quickly away from sadness. Thank you all for coming.